And thank you so much for joining us for News 19 at noon. I'm Darcy Strickland along with Daniel Bonds and Alex Calamia. And this is all anybody is talking about from Miami to Maine, guys.
Yeah, it's a powerful storm. Even though it's gotten a little bit less strong, a little bit weaker, still a powerful storm out in the Atlantic and something we're watching very closely, what we've been watching over the last several days as well. Here's a high-resolution satellite loop here, and you can see it is still pounding the Bahamas, Alex.
Yeah, wow. I mean, so that's the island of Grand Bahama right there. All morning long, if you were with us, you saw that eye was just absolutely tremendous. I mean, you could just see it now just passing to the north of the Grand Bahamas now, but they spent about 6 or 7 hours in that eye in one particular spot this morning because the storm just isn't moving. So despite the fact that this is weakening, it is still very strong.
And devastating, too. And here's a high-resolution satellite, or I should say enhanced satellite image. The good news is it is weakening a little bit, and you can notice there's a little bit of a wobble there. And what we're hoping is it starts to turn more towards the north and get it out of the Bahamas and really start pushing it towards the north and east. You can see in those last couple of frames, maybe just a little bit of a wobble towards the north. Obviously, that's good news for these guys in the Bahamas.
You're right, and great news for Florida, too, because, I mean, this eye wall was only about 100 miles away from West Palm Beach, which is just a testament to how much we trust forecasts, because West Palm Beach southward isn't even under a hurricane warning. But this dangerous storm is so close by. Fortunately, it is expected to make that turn to the north.
And here is the forecast from the Hurricane Center, or I should say the latest from the Hurricane Center. Category 4 storm, but a Category 5 is 156. So we're at a very, very high-end Category 4 storm. Does have gusts up to 190 miles per hour. Walking towards the west-northwest at 1 mile per hour. Yeah. We all can walk faster than this, but one thing you'll notice, west-northwest is starting to make that turn, and we'll keep our fingers crossed it continues to make that turn.
That's key.
Here is the forecast from the Hurricane Center, and we can kind of break it down for you. It is going to continue to move towards the north, and then hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed with this one, right, Alex, that it turns more towards the north and east, but you can see it right here. Still a powerful storm off our coast.
Absolutely, and anytime you look at a projected path, you're not talking impact, you're talking center of a storm. So the fact that coastal South Carolina, coastal North Carolina is all in that path still, there is the potential for landfall in South Carolina or North Carolina or close to it. And then the good news is there's also that possibility if it's a little farther offshore, so that's the positive.
And that's the biggest thing we're going to have to watch is what the impacts are. The spaghetti models are in pretty good agreement right through here. This would be Wednesday and then Thursday. As we mentioned, we got a storm right off the coast, but notice they're in pretty good agreement right here. That's what we look for, consistency and agreement in the forecast.
Yeah, that's really great. There are a couple that do take it really close to Charleston, but like you said, they're all lumped up together. We know that they're going to be following that northwest turn on Thursday.
And one thing I failed to mention, or we failed to mention, is if it does shift a little bit farther in, that's going to increase our impacts or our risk for some type of bad weather a little bit farther east. It lessens the impacts.
Yeah, and I mean, there's very little opportunity for this storm, to bring big impacts as far as watches and warnings, right? We're talking some hurricane warnings right along the coast of Florida, but not a whole lot for them farther inland.
And nothing for us here in South Carolina. That's good news, but we still have a risk. We still got a risk of what we could see here across the Midlands.
Yeah, and so this is the risk. Basically, minimum risk if you're in the upstate or even in the western parts of the Midlands. But then we get into that low to medium risk the closer you get along the coast. So I want to break that down for you just so you can see what things are going to be looking like. So along the coast, some people are watching because they're evacuating the coast. Winds 39 miles per hour up, coastal flooding, heavy rain. That's how things are looking right now from areas like Hilton Head all the way to Myrtle Beach. But I do want to emphasize, especially with that closer track, it is still going to be a hurricane as it gets close to the coastline. So if it brushes the coastline, that's where we could see the potential for winds reaching up to 74 miles per hour. So that possibility is there from Wednesday night to Thursday night. Now there's a low chance for our eastern counties to see some breezy conditions, some downpour, so low risk for our eastern counties. Not going to be a big problem here in the Midlands. And actually off to the west, where there are those minimum impacts, we could even see some nice weather during the Wednesday night and Thursday night time frame. And of course, like Daniel and I have been saying, it just depends on that track as to who is the cutoff, but it is going to be a sharp cutoff. We know that.
Yeah, huge cutoff. And really for tropical storm force winds, the greatest chance, obviously, as Alex just said, is along the coast. You're talking Hilton Head, Charleston, Myrtle Beach. The further you go inland, the less of the risk for those tropical storm force wind gusts. Yeah. So for us here in the Midlands, maybe extreme eastern portions of the Midlands. But again, it's just 50 miles here or there, 70 miles here or there could make a huge difference in what we see across the Midlands. So yeah, it is pretty close, still very close to call. We're not out of the woods as of yet, but we're not under the gun. So there's a difference right there.
Yeah, that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. We don't want to panic, but we do want to remain prepared. So the governor has already issued that mandatory evacuation order for folks along the coast. I have family in the low country. Lots of folks who are in the Midlands have loved ones along the coast. What is the message to them today?
I think the biggest message is right here. We still have to watch this storm closely. We have to watch this one. For us here in the Midlands, we're watching it. But strong winds, dangerous storm surge, heavy rainfall. Right now, it looks like the greatest risk is along the coast.
Yeah, absolutely. And the farther west you go, the better off it's going to be.